Hello Luke, and welcome to this masterclass. This one is for the piece Machines in Motion, and this is a very suitable piece, I think, for the Grade 8 own choice examination. So shall we start with the performance of it, if you'd like to play it to me, and then I'll have a discussion with you after you've played about the piece. Okay. Thank you. So, this piece is called Machines in Motion for a reason, okay? And if you have this understanding of how this piece knits together and fixes together, you'll have an idea of what's required to put a bit of personality into this piece and to give it a bit of musicality more than anything else. Okay? So in this piece of music, you've actually got 3 machines. I don't know if you've realised that, but there are 3 distinct different machines, and all these 3 machines have a different personality, if you like. And so if you identify where these machines are, you can then decide how technically you're going to handle these machines and how technically you're going to change the way that you play to play in a much more musical way. Okay? So let me explain where these 3 machines are to you now, so you can have a think about this yourself and maybe add your own personal interpretation in. You know, obviously this piece is open to interpretation, and that's why it's such a nice piece to play, and such a nice piece for me to actually listen to when pupils come in and play for an examination, because the great thing about it is the performance can be so different from candidate to candidate, and every performance is a good performance if you play 3 machines in a different way. And it's up to you really what technical areas you want to put in, but as long as you have 3 unique, different technical areas for these 3 machines, you can't go wrong, really. Okay? So obviously the first machine that you've got is right at the beginning. Okay? And you can see that, well, you tell me, what do you think this machine's all about? If you had to put it into words, how would you describe what this machine's all about?
Would it be sort of a slow moving, maybe cog or wheel, turning a bigger machine?
Yeah. So what sort of indications in the music get you to come to that conclusion?
Well, the bottom line sort of keeps going up and down along the piano.
Yeah.
With a sort of higher melody, which could be the big machine.
Yeah. What about the dynamics for it? How would you describe the movement of it from the dynamics that are in the music?
Probably slow, because it's quite sort of, the machine moves slowly because it's sort of in the background and quiet.
Yeah, yeah, I will go with that, definitely. What about the very first beat in every bar? What do you think about that beat? Is there anything? Why do you think it is that I've asked you to play an octave note on the very first note there?
Maybe to sort of give it some more meaning, sort of there being sort of that start of the wheel or cog that carries on for the rest of the bar.
Yeah, so I think the first beat in every bar is quite important actually. It's not as strong as an accent though. If I had to put a marking on that, I'd probably put a tenuto marking on it, just to give it a little bit more emphasis, okay? Because that will drive the machine along, won't it, if you do that. So that's my sort of suggestion, maybe a tenuto marking on the first one. But as I say, it's not cast in stone, but that would help to give that a bit of unique personality, wouldn't it, to put that on that. Okay, so where do you think machine number 2 starts? Which bar?
Probably bar 18 or 19. Yeah,
bar 19. Okay, so how does that machine differ, do you think, from the first machine?
Its right-handed is quite a lot quicker than the last one.
Yeah, it's got quaves in, hasn't it? Yeah, alright, the first bit's got quaves in, but it's also got quite a lyrical right hand, isn't it? Quite a smooth, you know, when you play the right hand, it's got to be quite a smooth playing, yeah? But the second machine, it's all the same. It's all quavers all the way through, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you think you could change your style of playing to show a different personality?
Well, if it's slightly more quavery, I could sort of maybe bounce it a tiny bit or give it a bit more spike.
Yeah, so it's not as severe as a staccato, is it? That's taking it too far.
Yeah.
But it's just making it a little bit lighter. Yes? So just lighten it a little bit when you play. Yeah? Lots of light wrist action. Okay? Alright? So think about that. And again, you see, it's a piano marking to start off that theme, isn't it? Now, what happens later on with this theme? If you look at bar 27 to 29, what happens with this theme?
They sort of start, well, it starts getting louder.
It does. So you can see how you've got this gradual dynamic, starting at P, going to MP, MF, up to forte, and it's gradually building up to something, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the wheel starts off, you know, just nice and smooth, going along. Then the second machine comes in, which like picks at things, if you like, you know, put, like that. And it's sort of leading up to something more important, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's getting up to a frenzy. So where do you think that the herb machine comes in? Which bar?
Bar 33?
Yeah, very good guess, and you're right. So the third machine comes in at bar 33. So how does that vary from machine 1 and machine 2?
Well, it's got the octaves again in the left hand.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a FF marking, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the loud machine, if you like. You know, I sort of think of it like hammer and an anvil, sort of coming down, bang, bang, like that.
Mm-hmm.
So in your left hand, you really have to use quite deep pedalling with that. And don't be frightened to use lots of shoulder weight on that bottom section in your left hand to let it really dig deep. So you're digging deep into the keys and making quite a big sound there when you play that section. Okay? And it reaches its climax, doesn't it, at bar 42, where you've got your semi-breves. Okay? So you have to count those semi-breves really carefully. Don't run short on those, because they're quite important to delve and go right deep into those. Okay? And then after that, at bar 41, machine 2 comes back, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You see that? So you're back to the lightness of touch again, and so that personality comes in, and again it builds up, it builds up, it builds up, until you reach the final machine again, machine number 3, at bar 55. And again, use that shoulder weight underneath. And then suddenly, at bar 57, what happens?
Does it go back to machine 1 again?
Machine 1 again. So then you go back to a change of personality again, where you play that lovely lyrical right hand, nice and smooth, okay? And then that machine comes back in, okay? So if we go over the page again to bar 67, you can see that it builds up again with machine number 2 at bar 77, and it builds up, builds up, builds up, and then you've got machine number 3 again at bar 91, where you dig deep into those keys again. Okay? Now, the piece finishes with quite an interesting coda, okay, which actually really starts at bar 105. Okay?
Yep.
Now, in this section, it's really the first theme again, but with a difference, because it's played very, very quietly and it goes right down to PP. So it's as if that final machine is drawing to a close and just shutting itself down. And so you've got to visualise that machine just gradually, gradually stopping and gradually, gradually fading away to nothing. But the important thing with that final coda is that you keep it as lyrical as possible. Okay? Now the piano being hammers and strings, it gives a lovely resonant effect if you use your pedal really well there. So don't be frightened to hold that sustaining pedal down and let the sounds just resonate from the piano and let all the notes just blend together, and that gives a really beautiful effect to finish this piece off. Okay, so shall we try another performance now?
Yep.
Okay, let's give it one more go. Thank you very much, Luke, and I wish you luck for your grade 8 examination. Thank you for coming.